Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics and Random. Egberto Will is your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We're going to have a great show for you today, as usual. Actually, today, one of the big things today is, hey, you get your chance to ask some questions. And here is that screen that I have for you. Ask, see what it says down there? Ask Politics Done Right Anything. But as usual, we also have some pertinent topics that we want to talk about. So what are we going to talk about today? ¿De qué vamos a hablar esta tarde? Esta tarde vamos a hablar de this afternoon. We're going to speak. Poverty is a policy choice. Warren gets rich, rich, use wealth to hide from taxes, and of course, ask PDR Anything. Welcome aboard, Eric Hayes. How art thou doing, Yvette? Avery Herod, afternoon to the PDR Posse. Welcome aboard. E2247, welcome to the show. West, start. West, are you using a pseudonym yet again? Another pseudonym? E2247, again, welcome aboard. Michael Rudnan, AVQ, aka, welcome aboard. Anyhow, let's start with Michael and his topics. Egberto, thanks for the clip. Conservatives are only pro-life about the unborn. Imagine some Democrats made a 30-second ad with the tagline, Tom C., pro-guns, anti-vaccination, anti-universal. Yeah, Tom C. was the star of my latest blog. So when Tom C. gets here, he needs to know, you guys, if you see him before I see him, please let him know that he was the star of the blog. Let him also know that Michael Rudnan wanted him to be the star of the blog. So he said, Egberto, that piece should be cut out. So I cut it out, cleaned it up, and wrote a little piece on it. Did pretty well all over the place. So thank you guys. Like I say, you guys are the greatest. You guys are people wonderful. Michael Rudnan, the nationwide moratorium on evictions will expire Saturday. When the moratorium ends, there's going to be some 40 million Americans under threat of homelessness. We're going to see the beginning of the next Great Depression starting this Saturday. I'm glad you brought that up. Because, Michael, not just Michael, all of you that are listening to me, I've been saying this for several weeks, several months. I watched the press conference day in, day out, day in, day out, and they ask about the coronavirus, and mostly they push questions that are senseless about coronavirus. They ask all kinds of questions about things that don't have any immediate impact on people's lives. And it drives me crazy because this is not new that on Saturday we knew that the moratorium on evictions is going to end. We knew that. This has been out for quite some time. When the extension came, we knew it. This has an immediate effect on people's lives. But the questions that were asked in the room, do you think we should trust the president if once he said that we were going to have to wear masks and now we have to wear masks? It sounds so petty. So petty. When people's lives are going to be affected, you remember everybody talk about, and I was talking about it too, it's a seller's market. But I always had a little twinge in my mind about it being a seller's market in real estate. Now, Bridge MCP just sold her home, and I'm pretty darn sure she probably got a good price for it. Justifiably so, but you know what is so interesting? She did it at the right time, because guess what has happened to the housing market? All those homes that were hard to get at or overpriced and all of that, our inventory is starting to go up again. Why? Here's the deal. A lot of people don't really want to realize what happened after the pandemic, right? There were a group of people under the pandemic that they could work at home, that they could do a whole lot of things. They weren't out there shopping. They weren't out there spending. They weren't out there doing a whole lot of things, right? And as soon as the pandemic was sort of being mitigated, they could go out there and buy something right away. And they could go out there and shop deeply. They could go do all these things, right? So what we got was a temporary inflation hit. In other words, people had some banked up money, and that 20% of Americans that the pandemic didn't really have an effect. In fact, the pandemic allowed them to save a lot of money, and they still also got a little bit of cash from the government, etc., etc., etc. So all that money came rushing in as soon as they could go out and do all kinds of things. But for a lot of Americans, those nice things that we could see in the market and the explosion that we see in the GDP was not going to be long lasting, right? And the reason it was not going to be long lasting because all the pent up money that those people that were doing well before the pandemic, very, very well before the pandemic, and all that they were able to accumulate during the pandemic, eventually would run out. And that's what's going to happen. Now, what Michael Rudnan talk about the housing market now, 40 million people that are at risk of being evicted, their mortgage out of whack. That is what's next. And you know, it's a snowball effect because if they don't get some relief, and my hunch is that they're going to get relief because they want to see a real estate market that continues to grow. And remember, there are several hits on the real estate market right now. The commercial real estate market hit is because, hey, Zoom, we have a new way of doing business. We don't have to go into the office anymore. And if we don't have to go into the office anymore, we don't need all that real estate for offices. We don't need all that telephone equipment and all of that. We just invest in Zoom, internet access, mobile phones, and mobile equipment, right? And those are the things in the economy that's shifting around. So when you hear Biden wasn't, and the administration wasn't too concerned about inflation, these are the things that they're thinking. They're thinking, wait a minute. Inflation only happens if there's too many people chasing good stuff. Now, we want some inflation because we want all these budget bills to pass. We want that $3.5 trillion over 10 years to get itself into the economy. We want all of that stuff into the economy so that, yeah, we'll get support in prices. Things would be a bit higher. We want that to bring everybody up. People don't get it. People don't get it. We hope the administration does. Good get. Michael Rudnan, Trump-backed candidate loses in Texas. I was talking to a friend of mine last night. He called me. He sent me a text and he said, "Better, you have any time to talk?" And I said, yes. And he says he wanted to hear the whole story about Trump. You know, he has been a lifelong Republican. And he's concerned because while he is a sane Republican that doesn't buy the Trump Kool-Aid, doesn't think Trump won, he's a conservative, no doubt, but he's in a church, and he believes that these people have simply gone crazy. And he's losing friends left and right because he's telling them, no, this is not the way it is. And I try to tell him, you got to stay in the game. You can't lose your friends because of Trump. And you have to go act. You don't just put your tail through your legs and leave your friends because they are Trumpists. And you are not. You're a straight Republican, not believing in the Trump crap. But they do, and they believe in the conspiracy theories, and they have all these theories about vaccines, and you got yours, and they refuse to get theirs. Because, look, like I told him, look, you got to stay in the game. This guy is a white guy around a whole lot of fairly racist white people, he says. And what I told him is you cannot leave the game. If we are to make progress, guys like you who have access to those people have got to stay in the game and be the sane one. And when they say, I don't want to be your friend anymore, don't let them just throw you away. You have to stay in the game and say, we are friends. How do we dare let a politician who cares about neither one of us break a friendship that has been going on for decades? You see, the problem that we have right now is, oh, you tell me something I don't like, I throw my hands up in the air and I walk off and end the story. You see, we haven't learned dedication in school for decades, and our parents, because they themselves didn't learn it, didn't have it. I don't lose friends and family over political affiliations or politicians. I don't give them that power because they don't care about me, and they don't care about the person who wants to break a friendship because I don't agree with their political choice. And therefore, I'm telling my audience right now, don't break up your family and your friends because you have different political views. Stay in the game. If we are to make a change, you've got to stay in the game. Eventually, it's all going to be noticed that Trump is a buffoon. It'll take folks a while. It'll take some years. Some will never admit it because of pride. But if you stay in the game, there are ways to mitigate it. So, folks, stay in the game. Trump-backed candidate loses in Texas, and it's starting to happen. The fact that a Trump-backed candidate has lost says something. In the past, Trump says you got to elect this person. Everybody, all the Trump sycophants get together and go ahead, and they would have elected that person. They didn't. So, anyhow, to the establishment candidate, one, is this the beginning of the end of Trumpism? Not really, not yet. After the failed coup on January 6th, I would have thought that day would have come much sooner. No, the coup is not even over yet. It's not over yet, my brother Rudnin. All right, we can't tackle the climate crisis without a strong U.S. left. Agreed. In 2020, there was a record drop in emissions of 7% because of the pandemic. First of all, that drop was not nearly enough to get us anywhere on the path to safety. In addition, emission went right back up as soon as economic activity resumed. At this point, it is almost as if that 7% drop never happened. If that pandemic was a trial run for the climate crisis, we're already doomed. It wasn't a trial run. We have to be engaged and active to get this thing going. That's what it's going to take. All right, Michael Rudden, last one. A bipartisan infrastructure deal reached. Cinema comes out against $3.5 trillion. Kirsten Sinema is playing games. She's playing games. She wants to look like the conciliator. If you notice, look how differential she was to the woman from Maine, the senator from Maine. I don't remember her name right now. She wants to come across as very bipartisan because, I think, of where she's from. Yes, she's losing a lot of Democratic support, but her approval rating overall in the state, I think, is still over 50%. So she's playing a gamble. She's playing a gamble for the general election, not the primary election. So if she gets primaried, she could be in trouble. But then if she gets primaried and she's in trouble and we get somebody that somebody can beat up on, then the chair is up in the air. I am not sure exactly how all of this is going to work. But we will figure it out. All right. Hello, relatives. Today, visit will be the greatest ever visit. I just love you, E2247. Every day for you with politics done right is the greatest. I'm going to take that as a blessing to me. I don't get many blessings. Well, I do get a lot of blessings. My daughter is on her recovery path, so that's a hell of a blessing. I have a great audience. That's a hell of a blessing. This show is over 7-8 years old and actually as a very, very independent show, meaning away from any big structure, meaning completely here. I think it's about 5 years. We're growing our base slowly, not enough to be self-sustaining, but it's getting there. And by the way, help us be self-sustaining. Click that join button on YouTube and become a part of the PDR posse. I need you, or go to politicsandright.com/Patreon, Patreo, and I need you guys. Okay, continue reading the scroll. And folks, I'm very, I have a lot more to read, and I'm going to come down and read all of you. So don't panic. I just haven't gotten to you yet. Because as I go down, if there's anything else to explain, I will. Because today is Ask Egberto's Day. And I will only go to the two topics that I listed in the blog, meaning poverty and Elizabeth Warren, if I run out of topics from you guys that are sending me stuff as we speak. You can call in as well. The number is 346-248-7799, ID 254-600-9091. And what I'll do is I'm going to put that on the screen on how to contact us. You can also contact us via Zoom. So there is a Zoom and all that kind of stuff to contact us if you must. I would love to hear from some of you by voice if you want to. Rose Williams, welcome aboard. E2247 says, politics done right, PDR may be a modern source of enlightenment. Either that or TED Talk is, I believe. So what do y'all believe? Below, find proposition and belief. Thank you so kindly, my brother. In the 17th century, Belief narrowed focus to mean an intellectual assent to a set of propositions, a credo. All right. E2247 also says in the Quran, religious opinion, religious orthodoxy is dismissed as zana, self-indulgent guesswork. Man, I got me some intellectuals on my show. I just love it. I just love it. All right, Eric Hayes says, hi all. Question, could the delta burn itself out? Of course it could. But can we count on the delta burning it out? No, we can't. And therefore, we have to effect the burn. So, I mean, that's a good question, though, Eric. Actually, that's a very good question. Because there are a lot of diseases over time that they just burn themselves out. But generally, a lot of the burnout occurs that they've killed so many, and the ones they haven't killed have developed an immunity to them that it burns out because it doesn't have where to replicate. So there's a scientific reason why burnout occurs. But there don't seem to be any time soon that this particular virus will suffer that fate anytime soon. Eric Hayes wants to know if Elizabeth Warren wants to hide her millions. No, I don't think so. Not at all. Not at all, not at all, not at all. Tom C., I'm here. Thanks for using my comment in your blog, Egberto. That is because your comment was prescient. I've used several of our people's blog comments in our blogs. I've used Rose William. I've written a complete blog based on Bridge MCP, Norman Reynolds, Michael Rudnin. All of you, if you were to scan your name on my blogs, you would see that there's something that you've said that have ended up in one of my blogs. So thank you for the great commentary that all of you generally present to us all. It is very important that you continue. Why are 40% of teachers in New York still unvaccinated? Are they hoping not to return to school and still get paid, or will de Blasio make them get vaccinated? De Blasio will get them get vaccinated, but it's not 40% if I recall correctly. If you have the link that says 40% of those teachers are vaccinated, let me see it. I kind of doubt the numbers, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong. All right, inflation up. Yes, inflation is up. And if you listen to the earlier part of the show, I explained why inflation is up and why it is unlikely to stay up. Because again, the burnout, the rush to purchase were from all the people who had money. And guess what? The vast majority of Americans don't. Read the poverty report. Bruce, hi Nenny, here I am. Welcome aboard. Bruce Pollard, welcome aboard. Eric, please don't be silly about New York teachers. All right. Rose Williams says the article talks about herd immunity, but doesn't address the rapid mutation aspect of coronaviruses. It remains unlikely that we can ever achieve herd immunity due to the nature of this variety of virus. And we need to explain what she's talking about. What happens if you have a virus that changes too fast? Eventually, it outruns your immune system, which means your immune system, again, has to adapt to this new form. In other words, your immune system, it's a completely different new virus. Think about it. Everybody gets colds all through the year. Don't you think by now we should have developed immunity to colds? Well, it's very different. These colds, these coronaviruses are very different. It's just an upper respiratory infection caused by a whole lot of stuff. West, Trump forever. Okay, West, if you want Trump forever, it's almost like you're saying you want death, but it's okay. And Hunter8540 says, here's what Hunter550 says to me. He says, you, sir, are the racist. Okay. In what form and what would make you say that, Hunter8540? Please let me know what makes me a racist, and I will surely as hell try to improve my ways to ensure that I am not. Deep down inside, I know I'm not. It's not possible for somebody who doesn't believe in race to be racist. So, but anyhow, I guess you're new, so you don't know too much about what we do here. But welcome aboard, and I'd love for you to stay engaged with us because, you know, we love that. We love you all. Okay, let's see. AVQ, West, Trump doesn't care about you. Trump doesn't care about anyone other than himself. If you think otherwise, name something Trump improved in your life. other than culture war crap? Bet you can't, and that's the truth. Eric Hayes says, Egberto, you said it's politicians' view is power, and you are correct. Biden and the ilk are just that power they don't care about. You have to worry about you. Yes, I have to worry about me. Worrying about me, however, requires me to worry about the community. Because as part of the community, and because no individual can be self-sufficient, just worrying about me is neither practical, pragmatic, or possible. And that is where society comes in. That's where socialism comes in. We don't call it that because, we've done all kinds of stuff with words in this country to let people fear words that talk about helping each other. But no, Hayes, I can never think about myself only. I have to think about others. Trump the Great, okay. My daughter Ashley is here. ¿Qué pasó, corazoncita, mi amorcita, cómo estás? She says, what if their politics could kill you? Oh man, this is way down. I mean, she's talking about when I spoke about you cannot lose friends or family over politics. And I really mean that. My older sister is a Trumpist. I love her to death. I will continue to talk to her to death. I will continue to try to get her to do things right to death. And I have succeeded in some areas, I'm not in others. But we have to be the grown-ups. If we believe all that we believe, we have to be the grown-ups. Now, some people can't really do it. And what I tell people is just stay away from that person. Ignore them. Just don't go about hating them. Because that's not going to be the solution. Just don't go about doing that. That will never be the solution. All right, Trump. Trump should be known else. Trump should let someone else run in 2024, younger, but maybe as assertive. Trump, look, being assertive, if you have intellect, is okay. All right? If you are intelligent, I'm not talking about inward intelligence here. I'm talking about you doing the work necessary to know things. That's what intelligence is. If you do the work necessary to be intelligent, you can be assertive with it. I'm assertive with the things that I say because I research, because I read, because I have examples, because I have proof. When Trump is assertive about stupidity, putting Clorox in your veins, lighting light through your larynx. When he's assertive in that nature, he's a clear and present danger. And if you doubt it, the insurrection is a clear example of what an assertive buffoon can do. So please, Trump should not first of all, Trump doesn't have the authority to let somebody run. Somebody decides if they want to run or not. But the people who vote in a Republican primary will have to determine how intelligent they want to be to have a leader worth having. It's that simple. Norman Reynolds, welcome aboard, Norman. Why do churches and religious organizations generally exempt from income and property taxes? Response. In American tax law, churches are considered a charitable activity. Today, the non-charitable behavior of certain church leaders should remove them from this benefit. How do we change this? We elect people that have the balls, the ovaries to do it. That is how we do it, Norman. We elect people who will have the courage to go up against the church. Now, the church is a dying institution. It's dying. A lot of people don't do the church anymore, but it's a loud institution and it's a focused institution. What it means is that if a church is a dictatorship, right? If I want something done, I go to the church dictator and I tell that church dictator, hey, this is what I want your pew to do. and the pastor go up there like the pastor I showed you guys and say, the coronavirus is not real. The Delta migration is not real. And then all the sycophants in the church who follow the pastor, they believe the pastor because he is the leader. He's the shepherd leader. We got to get away from that. You know, and the young people are getting away from that. I love millennials. I hang with the people my daughter's age and when I'm doing my activism in the field. And you know why I love them in the field? They have no fear. They'll tell me to shut up. They'll say, Berto, we're not doing it like that. That may be pragmatic. That may be XYZ, but we ain't doing it like that right now. How far did it get you? To which I tell the millennials and the young Gen Xers, I'm a young baby boomer or an old Gen Xer. I like to say old Gen Xer because I am right at the cusp. So I prefer to hang and say young Gen Xer, but I love my boomers. Because I'm one too, right? Hey, baby. But so yes, it is important. It is important. Rose Williams replying to globally, if we don't take this seriously, it's going to be around permanently. And that's what we're saying. E2247, my daughter, hey, Ashley, ¿cómo estás, corazoncita? And she replies, hello. It's 4:20, I'm here. Welcome, West, again. I know you're here, West. I know you're here. Note, if all churches were taxed normally, that would be about $80 billion per year, enough to get every homeless food and housing. And you know what is so funny? If we tax them, we could feed the homeless and all of that. They take the money and they don't do that. They get the pastor a Cadillac, a Rolls Royce, a helicopter, several campuses, a church tipped in gold. That's what they do. You know, it's an institution I just can't revere. Now, my wife and daughter belong to a church, however, that I love, because they do what churches generally are supposed to do. And there are some churches that are doing that. There are some churches that are doing that. Let me give the Luke a shout out. A shout out for the Luke, because they take care of their people. They make sure their people are vaccinated. They make sure people don't go to church and get killed. They force their people to wear masks. Few of the good ones. They're one. So, shout out to the Luke. Let's see. I love Elizabeth Warren, says E2247. Agreed. Norman Reynolds. Ashley, hey, yeah. Let's see. Any virus that attains herd immunity by vaccination can burn itself out, but the vaccination rate tends to be over 80%. True. In fact, they're seeing something like that in England right now, where 70% of the people are vaccinated. They're thinking that the reason why the Delta isn't causing as many deaths, in other words, Delta infection has skyrocketed, but the curve of the death rate relative to the infections, it's not there. Okay, any virus that attains herd immunity, I read that. Or Rose, where does that 40% come from? I don't know. That's why I told him I don't believe that. Because de Blasio, first of all, is requiring everybody to be vaccinated or tested profusely. So I don't know where you got that from. All right, March 21st, nearly 80% of teachers, school staff, and childcare workers receive at least shot of COVID-19 vaccine. And is that for New York, I trust? All right. Peggy Lopez, ¿cómo estás, corazón? Hi, all. Arrived at my normal time. Late. But you know what, Peggy? You're here. You're here. Love you, girl. You're here. Michael Rene, only 80% of teachers are vaccinated. It should be approaching 100%. If they know what's good for them, it would. Okay, Herrick Hayes, Egberto, do you force people to get vaccinated at the cost of choice? If you choose not to get, then it's your choice. If you work someplace that requires it and you don't get it, that is on you. True. Okay, I am agreeing with you, Eric. It's your choice to get the vaccine. It's my choice not to want to be in your presence. It is a business's choice not to allow you to work there. It is a government choice not to allow those who don't want to get vaccinated to come into the fold and infect others. You're right. It's a choice. So we choose to excommunicate those who do not want the vaccine. Fine. Don't take the vaccine. Just don't be around those of us who don't want you around to infect us. It's that simple. I still love you. But don't infect us because you decided not to have a vaccine because you want your freedom, your choice. Can you do that with your kids going to college who has to have the rubella vaccine, the whooping cough vaccine? Did you say that? You can't go to Kingwood High if you don't have those vaccines. Did you put up the same fight for those vaccines as well? I doubt it. It's political. And you have allowed yourself to be drawn into a political game that is killing people, including some that you likely love. The duck that quacks. Trompolini lowered my tax withholding, but not my tax. I love the way you say that because a lot of people didn't realize that the duck that quacks. What he said is the amount that I'm holding back out of your check is going to be less. You know, you have one deduction or two deductions. Even though you have two deductions, we're going to give you a bit more of your money back. So when it's time to get a refund that you think, oh, I got a tax break because I'm still going to get my refund, there ain't no refund. You see? A lot of people didn't understand it, man. It was a trick. Now, let me just forewarn people about the tax credit as well. For people who normally would have gotten all of their tax credit in one lump sum at the end of the year, that is gone because you're getting it every month. But the amount that you're getting every month supersedes, it's greater than what you would have gotten accumulated for your tax credit at the end of the year. So you still got more. You really got a tax cut. But it goes even further. People who did not have a job that made enough or did not qualify for the tax credit, whether or not you have a job that qualifies you based on income, you do get the tax credit. In other words, they call it a tax credit. It's deeper than a tax credit. It is a stipend for kids. It is a humanity-based thing. It is basic income, if you will. It is basic income for the poor. They can't say it that way, but it is basic income for the poor. How about enlightenment, Egberto? I agree. Enlightenment, sir. All right, let's see what else we got here. Man, I am not going to get to you guys are going to take over the whole show today after all because there's so much here, which is what I wanted in the first place. But beforehand, I want to ask everybody who's listening to us right now to please click that join button to become a part of the PDR posse. I need 1,000 subscribers at YouTube. I also need 1,000 subscribers at Patreon. Today, I am going to put the links in independently as opposed to just a support link. At the end, I'll only give the support link, but I need to have a few more people clicking. So again, if you want to become a Patreon, which I need 1,000 patrons, I'm only at 132. You can go ahead and hit politicsdoneright.com/Patreon. If you want to be a part of our PDR posse, either click the join button on YouTube or go to politicsdoneright.com/YouTube to become a part of our PDR posse as well. You can also support us simply by either going to our PayPal and providing support via politicsdoneright.com/PayPal. And you can get all of our books at politicsdoneright.com/books. And those are the books that you see on the screen right now. Several books, and I can tell you it's worth the read is worth it. You can go take a look at some of the reviews. politicsandright.com/books. And don't forget, we have a store where you can get our t-shirts, our hoodies, all that good stuff. I support independent media by going to politicsandright.com/store. politicsandright.com/store. If you want to see some of the good people, and May, I have not forgotten your gender, May. Sorry for the past screw up, but there are our peeps who've gotten the PDR Posse cup. They've got the cup, including the designer of it, who is whom again? Bridge MCP. Bridge MCP. All right, so please, folks, support us. If you want, you can do a super chat as well. Just click that $, provide a super chat, and we'll put you on the screen right away. Yesterday, we had it on the screen for some time as well. Okay, I'm going back to the questioning again. We are now asking, let's see what else we got here. Michael Redden says, when an individual is vaccinated, they are less likely to contract and transmit the virus, and therefore less likely to contract and transmit viral variants of COVID-19. The more individuals that are unvaccinated, therefore, the more likely more variants are to emerge because there are more people that the COVID-19 vaccine can infect. As more variants emerge that are more transmissible and more able to evade vaccines, the more likely it is the variants will spread and make global vaccine campaigns less effective. And I think we spoke about that yesterday. We spoke about it in detail yesterday. If you want to shut this stuff down, the person who earlier spoke about it burning out, it can only burn out if you squash it. In other words, if you have a fire in the forest and it's burning, and you really want to make sure there aren't forest fires, you throw water on that, you throw the dirt on that stuff. After you throw the dirt, you throw some water on that stuff to make sure it's really, really out. If you just kind of put it out and then you have some straddlers out there where every now a flame comes out, any one of those sparks can actually reignite a big fire. And that's the unvaccinated people. The unvaccinated people, they can create within their own bodies a mutation that kills a whole bunch of us. That is the danger the unvaccinated people make to all of us, even those of us that are vaccinated. They are a weapon of mass destruction. And it's that simple. So when you want to talk about your freedom, it's not your freedom we're talking about. It is the survival of everybody else. The duck that quacks says intellectual competence is nothing 45 has going on. Bluster isn't brains. Well, you see, this is what a lot of people don't understand. They said, well, he must be some kind of smart because he has billions. No. His parents had billions and they were delegated to him. He was a conduit for criminality and he was paid for said criminality to maintain his billions. I mean, it's not rocket science. Like I said, we have a lot of billionaires going around, but they're not worth their billions. What it is legalized. Most of these billionaires, it's what I call legalized theft, and that is not wealth envy at all. I swear to you, I don't suffer from wealth envy. I do not suffer from wealth envy because I understand how easy it is if you have a product. If you have the willingness with your product, there are two ways to get wealthy. You can get wealthy by really having a product that is really good to everybody that everybody wants. And that comes very far in between. But you can also get wealthy from all those calls that you get on your phone that lie to you, that ask you to go into this program or go into this step one program or go into this multi-level marketing program or all these other facets that last 3 to 6 months. There are a lot of people that get wealthy on those things, right? Look, I wish more people understood how the economic system really works, and that's what we are here for, to actually explain those things. Carl Cox, I believe in the common good as FDR, who along with Lincoln, our greatest presidents, put it. We are all in this together. Being rich won't get you into heaven. You can't take it with you. Being rich doesn't even make you happy. Let me tell you, and I'm telling you this, I'm just going to put this out here. I had to decide if I was going to continue busting into the software business. I made some calculated decisions, and I chose happiness over doing what was necessary to make as much as one wanted. I figured doing good, even though it's not at all lucrative, in fact, it's not at all. But you know what? It feels very, very good. So that is so right, Carl. Doesn't get you into heaven, nor does it make you happy. Look at the suicide rates among many of the kids of the rich, folks that never had to do anything for a living. Look at all these issues. I don't mind that I have to struggle now. I really don't. I wish I didn't. I don't. Because you feel you're doing what's good. And the good thing about it is you're right there with all the peeps. All right. Here's why CRT is needed. Critical race theory according to Tom C. In Traverse City, Michigan, on social media, white students were auctioning off students of color in a mock slave trade. Now a war over CRT is tearing this small town apart. I had not read that one. I'm going to have to look that up. Sounds interesting. Let's see. Michael Rudnan says churches are dying, a dying institution. U.S. church membership falls below majority for first time. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's been on a long decline now for a long time. Now they're just a large plurality of churches are just money makers for a few. It's just another capitalist institution, and that's why they behave just like a capitalist corporation. Churches do. Those mega churches, that's what they do. And they talk about acquiring churches just like other business talk about acquiring businesses. And that's what they do. Look at the different Baptist churches here in Houston. That's what they do. They acquire churches like businesses acquire businesses. It's amazing. Peggy Lopez, trying to take off some weight to help survive knee surgery. Cannot find your book on your weight loss journey. I want to purchase this book. How can I find your book? What I'm going to do about the weight loss book that you want, the name of the book is, I tell you what I'm going to do right now. You can find the book right here, Peggy. I'm putting the link in there right now. Go to that link on Amazon and you can get my weight loss book. I wrote that book. I started writing that book while I was doing a cruise. Can you believe that? I was on a cruise. So that's how I started writing that book. And I finished it. I even put the different drops that I had, when I messed up and how I got around my mess up and all of that. It's a book. It is worth a read. It's a short book. It's worth it. I just put the link inside of the feed. So check it out, Peggy. Oh, let me put it inside of YouTube as well. I don't think I put it in YouTube. Para ver. Okay, I just put it in the YouTube feed as well. All right. Rose William, faith is one thing. Superstition and presumptions are something else. You're right. Dimitri OG says Jesus was black. In the Bible, it says Jesus had hair of wool and feet like bronze. Well, you know what I think about race, right? But if you want to say it's more likely that Jesus had dark skin, I think so. I mean, look at where he was from, right? And if you look at the description in the Bible, assuming the translation from Hebrew is correct, you would be right. But I don't even think that matters, right? The duck that quacks. The NFL needs to be taxed. All the sports association got to tax them first before taxes church. I think they all should be taxed. Egberto, melt that gold Jesus down and hand out the coins, right? Let's see what it is that. Okay, you know what? I think what you're asking me to do, Rudnin, is to put that on the screen for you. And since it's always y'all's day, I'll put that onto the screen for you, sir. There you go. It's on the screen for you. All right. Let's see what else we got here. Today's all your day, evidently. All right. Let's see. Is it true? Let's say, if this is true, this is a disgrace upon my fellow New Yorkers. So far, about 60% of Education Department employees have had at least one dose of the vaccine, which the mayor said is a strong suit among city agencies. That figure does not include those who live or were vaccinated outside of the 5 boroughs. According to city officials, about 7% of New York City adults have received at least one vaccine. Well, yeah, that's a disgrace. It is a disgrace. Okay, E2247, Peggy, we should hold this meeting without you so you don't miss the meeting. Daniel Ledo, let's see what Daniel's going to tell me now. Egberto is cool with government forcing people to take the vaccine in the hope of saving a life, but simultaneously thinking it's wrong for a woman to have a baby that would absolutely result in a new life. No, I think I'm very consistent. I'm very consistent. Whatever that woman does with her body has little effect on somebody else, me, you, or anything else. All right? It is debatable when a blastoma, when a fetus, or when a blastesis, I forgot the actual name, become a human being. I don't know that. It's above my pay grade. But I am not going to force a woman or tell a woman what to do with her body because, again, like I said, now if what she does with her body could affect thousands of people, like somebody not taking a vaccine, somebody taking a vaccine doesn't only save their lives, it saves the lives of others. Okay? So I'm very consistent, Mr. Ledo. Very, very consistent. And if you had proven an inconsistency with my words, I would have admitted it right out here. Like, actually, you once before proved an inconsistency in a statement that I made. And I recall not having an issue be correcting that. So I don't just say things. I act on it, sir. Peggy Lopez, I read the story of the birth of Jesus and the first recorded story of the father having sexual relationship with his daughter, and then the father kills the child of the rape. Oh, yeah, I know the story in the Bible, but yeah, echo. All right. Just give non-vaccinated folks from Duck That Quacks. Just give non-vaccinated folks 15 days notice that they will be denied health insurance coverage for any COVID-19 health issues. Then do it. I don't have a problem with that. I like that idea. Actually, that's a damn good idea, the Duck That Quacks, because the insurance company is making a bet that you are not going to get sick. You are making the bet that you're going to get sick, but the insurance company also says these things have to be random. You not taking a vaccine isn't random. The Duck That Quacks, you're onto something there, brother. You're onto something. I like that. All right, let's see. Rose Williams says, was it faith or superstition that led to the Inquisition and witch killings? I don't know. I'm not a historian, an expert, but my hunch will say it likely was power. Power and power. Prove me wrong, please, folks. All right, the Duck That Quacks, my comments are a bit behind. I meant instead of till death and sub with till enlightenment, and all this death talk is morbid. Yeah, true. All right, let's see what else we got. That's new. Rose, excellent question you asked. Let's continue down. Eric Hayes, Egberto, Warren Buffett is giving away billions. Is that not good? And is he leaving it all to philanthropy? Yes, he is. And yes, that's good. Let me just tell you the problem. And this is where I try to take our minds into the right frame of thought. We should not depend on the benevolence of Warren Buffett to decide that he is going to give away the billions that he acquired in an economic system in which those billions were made on the backs of others. In other words, that is like the thief. And look, I think Warren Buffett is a good guy. I think Bill Gates is a good guy. I think a lot of these billionaires are good guys who followed the rules of the type of capitalism that we practice here. These are good guys. I don't want to mix it up. I am just saying that the economic system under which we are under allowed them to legally acquire wealth. And then they are the ones who decide how that wealth is going to be disposed of. As opposed to an economic system that says everybody is paid their worth. And nobody is able to accumulate an inordinate amount of wealth. And I don't know where that inordinate amount is. I don't know what it is. We can create mathematical formulas to create a cycle in which everybody has equal access to success. Our economic system denies equal access to success by design. Okay? There are a certain amount of slots for these things. A venture capitalist, you have to be invited. If you read my book, it is called How to Make America Utopia. I think I easily prove within the book that nobody is inherently successful because of a meritocracy, but mostly because they were chosen. People say, well, when you had Willie's Computer Software Company and you made all that money from your software, were you chosen? Hey, I would like to be cocky. I would like to be conceited. I would like to say it was all me. I was so darn good. And in the past, I may have wanted to say that. But the answer is no. I was chosen. Those corporations that chose my ComDRV software over Greenleaf's software, and my ComDRV software wasn't necessarily that much better than Greenleaf. It was better, provenly so. But it wasn't necessarily much better. They could have chosen Greenleaf. They chose mine. Okay? And therefore, I was able to build on that. It is important for us not to get all cocky or believe we are the best. When I came to the United States of America, I got educated by the University of Texas in Austin, a damn good school. My daughter went there as well. And A lot of the people that are janitors and are sweeping floors right now and that are working at McDonald's, they paid sales taxes in Texas that ultimately ended up at these universities in Texas, of which I was able to go to. I owe thanks to them as well, because a lot of the intellect developed was through the engineering departments at the University of Texas that gave me the methodological thinking to do the things that I do. Thank you, Texans. Thank you, Americans. Thank you, everybody. We all need to thank each other. So, Eric, you ask a prescient question, and the answer to your question is also simple. That Warren Buffett has billions to give away doesn't speak necessarily so well about our system, because we've allowed one guy to decide how he wants the money that was taken from millions of people, from the intellect of millions of people who designed products, who created real estate markets, who created the railroad system. He's heavily invested in railroad and all these other areas. All these people that did all these great things, and a lot of that wealth concentrated into his worth. And then he decides, why him? Because he knew how to play the game right? Did he do anything wrong? No. But the system is bad. Okay, our educational system has failed us. Folks can't understand deadly or, it has failed us in a lot of things. And that failure, right? The failure is what allows us to allow this economic system to continue as it does. And if we would ever really educate ourselves, thank you for ordering the book, Peggy Lopez. If we would ever educate ourselves in such a manner that we can do, what's the magic word? Critical thinking. Then they couldn't lie to us and tell us, if you tax us, we will carry our money somewhere else. You ain't got nowhere else to take your money. The only country that has a military that can ensure that your wealth stays with you is America. So when they make all these things, well, they'll just take their business elsewhere because we allow them to take their business elsewhere. We could stop that easily. We allow them to. We, the people who made them rich, we allowed them to go offshoring. And all of that is because of our own lack of education, our own lack of knowing how the system works. If we ever did, we would not allow that to happen. Churches are in decline, as is religion, but every natural human person still has some character and recognizable spirit. I'm a very spiritual person, but my spirituality comes in the form of humanism. I believe in human beings. I suggest the movies Andromeda Strain. I watched that a long time ago. Remember that coagulating blood and how it burnt itself out? It turns out that they were going to use a nuclear bomb, and they thought, oh no, if we use a nuclear bomb, it'll actually make it worse. All right, Michael, every race who worships tends to make those they worship look like them. That's true. All right, let's continue. Lee Grant, it must be anti-religion bigotry today. You wrongly use a broad brush. No, I didn't. Blastosis. Thank you, my daughter. You see, my daughter is a doctor in the making. Blastosis, she corrected me. It took me this long to get down to her correction. Thank you, sweetie pie. It must be anti-religion bigotry day. No, it's not. Like if you listen to my entire show, I gave a high five to the Luke, the church that my wife is a deacon in, and that my daughter is a member of. Because they do what churches are supposed to do. They made sure their folks were vaccinated. They feed the poor. They help folks in the church. They didn't have all this crazy Trumpian stuff. They took care of their people. They did. Norman Reynolds, government forcing women to use their body to have a family, which is an economic strain. Norman. Hey, Norman, I haven't heard from you in a while. That's a good one, though, Norman. I like your framing on that one, Normal. That was very smart. Out of sight, out of mind, just like the border policy at Canada and Cuba versus down south. You keep talking about people not being able to come in from Canada. That is the biggest hogwash there is. People from Canada, you don't even need to know if somebody's coming from Canada or anything like that, because we don't bother people from Canada. It's only people that come from the South that has a little bit of melanin that gets bothered. That the border is officially closed is the same on all borders. But what we have is refugees coming from the South, not from the North. You know, like I tell you, right-wing media makes you not very smart. Please stay with media that makes you smart. Daniel Ledo, Bezos is evil and doesn't deserve his money. If you want to know more, go to Amazon.com and buy my book. That is what's called a monopoly. And we live within it. And my goal is you've seen my shows before on having to do my book through Amazon before. You've seen it. So why are you going to make it there? But anyhow, maybe you should actually go get my book, How to Make America Utopia, and see what I say about Amazon, Mr. Ledo. Not only that, you'll get a few insights. Eric, but you get the COVID is random. Oh, God. All right. I'm not going to go there now because I don't have a lot more time. We only have 1 minute left. Let's see. Rose, let me see if I need to get to Gracie Allen, welcome aboard. Warren Buffett has already given $2 billion of each of his children charitable foundations. Let's see what else we got here that I can answer real quickly. 90% of the people in hospitals now have no vaccinations. That's okay. Egberto, you worked hard and were rewarded, and you now have opportunity to do what you want. Political stuff, that is the fruits of your labor. Not really, because I've gone through all of my savings to do this. That's the reason why you see me have my PayPal and all that kind of stuff. So no, I did this with the expectation that it would be neutral. As it turns out, it wasn't, but that's okay. Alicia, a person who has 1 billion cats who refuse to give any away is considered a hoarder, and those cats would be taken and given out. At what point does that happen with money? We're getting there, Alicia. We're getting there, Alicia. You are a smart woman, Alicia. You're a smart woman. But so many people are working hard, and instead of being rewarded for their work, others are rewarded. Rose, your statement along with Alicia is why the hoarding will and must stop. And I'm almost out of time here. I'm actually out of time, but I want to see if there's anything that I didn't answer that I really need to get to real quick. Egberto, you go south and see. South are my people, Senor Eric. South are my people. Officers indicted, they thought that Tip was responsible for a riot. When asked if he was correct that it was a loving crowd, Gunnell responded. Okay. All right, folks, I got to get out of here. But before I get out of here, I have to ask you one more time. Please go to politicsdoneright.com/support. Politicsdoneright.com/support to provide support to this program so that we can continue doing what I'm doing. I want to say hi. I want to give a shout out to my Deborah Ann Borgen. I moved and I am back watching again. Thank you, Deborah, for being back here again. I want to give a shout out to my daughter. I love anytime I see my daughter online with me, spending a little bit of time here because she knows. All right, folks, I got to get out of here. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you know how I'm going to end this baby. I am what? Out! We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead, number 1, subscribe to our channel, and number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.